Just to wrap up NC State, I just looking back at the film, I think it was really three big things. Number one, we got off to a really slow start on defense. They are too good of a team to spot a 17-point lead to, and I think they scored the first 3 or 4 times, and we were playing from behind once again against them. And after that, I thought we settled in and played better, but just it got away from us too quickly. Our offense, I think, moved the ball well, certainly better than we have in the past against them, but we just kicked too many field goals. We had the ball 4 times in the red zone, came away with 1 touchdown. Credit to NC State. They really defended the run game well. We had 7 carries for 9 yards in our red zone running. And again, that's just, you have to do better than that to score touchdowns. And then finally, our return units were really poor. Our kickoff return, you always want to respond with a score with a score when you're starting with the ball on the 6-yard line, the 10-yard line. They're a tough defense to go 90 yards on. So we didn't do anything to help our offense. And our offense, to their credit, I thought, got first downs and moved the ball and drove it to midfield, but then drives sputtered out with field goals or punts. And we completely lost the field position game. I think our average drive start for the offense was somewhere around the 20-yard line. So I just think those 3 things, we started slow on defense, we struggled in the red zone on offense in our kickoff return game, and we fair caught a ball on the 7-yard line. We just put ourselves behind with our backs to the wall. So again, like every week, we got to improve. Our goal for the week is to go 1-0. And this week we're facing, I think, a very improved Syracuse team. They have moved the ball and scored points against everybody they've played. Their quarterback, Dungy, I think, is one of the best young quarterbacks in the country. He's already thrown for over 1,700 yards. He's thrown for a bunch of touchdowns. His completion percentage is over 64%. And what's most impressive is he's only thrown 3 interceptions the whole year. So he's taking care of the ball. He's a very good athlete. He can make plays with his feet. He's elusive. He's big. And he is really going to be an outstanding quarterback, I think, as he understands their offense more and more. And I think he's picked it up very quickly. The other big challenge with Syracuse is they have 4 exceptional receivers. Edeteo, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, is a graduate transfer from Maryland. Already, after 5 games, 47 catches for 840 yards and 6 touchdowns. And he's just putting up video game numbers. And then Irvin Phillips, the slot, already has 42 catches. And then his team and Ishmael are also good players that have played really well against us the last 2 years. So they have depth. They have 3 running backs they play with that are all good players. The offensive line has picked up the system well. They get rid of the football so quickly. I think the average snap to release is about 1.6, 1.7 seconds. So it's really hard to generate a pass rush with what they do. And again, they've moved the ball and scored points against everybody. They're averaging close to 500 yards a game. Defensively, I always think when you play that style of offense, the defense is never going to have great numbers just because they're always going to be playing more plays and be out there more. But it's a very sound defensive structure. They play a lot of the old Tampa 2 concept. The corners are very involved in run support. Certainly the linebackers are very good players. Paris Bennett was a guy that we recruited at Bowling Green and thought he was a good player, and he's gotten better every year. Zaire Franklin is very athletic. The corners are long and athletic. The safeties are aggressive and play the system well, and they've got some really good young defensive linemen that are just getting better every week. So again, you can look at their numbers, but I don't think you're ever going to marry that style of offense with great statistical numbers. Their job on defense is to try to stop drives, to get off the field, and they do a lot of things that can really disrupt you. So this will be a really good challenge for our football team. It should be a great football game. We're glad to be home after 2 consecutive weeks on the road. It's nice to play a team that's not coming off a bye week. Again, it should be a great game, and hopefully we'll have a great crowd down at BB&T. Any questions? All right, let's go eat.
Dave, could you talk about and you mentioned kicking earlier, the kickoff returns especially. How do you coach that? They did a great job of kicking between the numbers and the boundary, and the returners kind of in no man's land there.
We mishandled the ball. I mean, we just, we told our returner to move up and move over. And we just mishandled kicks. We didn't catch it square. I mean, by the 7th kick, you should figure out what they're doing. And we did not adjust well at all, really very poorly. And that's on us as a staff, and it's on our returners. And then, we coughed one up, which we fortunately recovered, but that put us on the 10-yard line. We mishandled one that bounced out of bounds after we hit it on the 6. And then we, a kick that was very catchable, we backed up on. And we ended up fielding it on a hop and got tackled at the 10, 11-yard line. So, that kick return job is opened up this week. And I'm not sure who's going to return kicks for us. But we didn't handle the ball well, and we got to do a better job with that, because that's just, there's no excuse for that. There really isn't. You get the ball back, and you got to start with field position. And we just didn't do a good job. Just mishandled the kicks. And we had return opportunities. The one we did return was a good return. But really, again, didn't handle that well. And again, that's on us as coaches.
You said the kick return job has opened up. Who are you giving looks to this week?
Well, Johnny, get Chucky back there. Steven will continue to compete for it. But that can't happen. That was a disaster, really was, and that put us in a really bad spot, because, like I said, we moved the ball. We had over 350 yards of offense, which isn't a banner day, but it's not a bad day. You should have more than 16 points off of 350 yards, but when you're starting every drive inside the 20, those yards don't convert to points.
Does facing an Indiana and the pace that they played with or wanted to play with, does that help you as you get prepared for Syracuse?
A little bit, because this pace is warp speed. This is faster than Indiana. I mean, they run a play every 16, 17, 18 seconds, and it is fast. And there's, it's one of those things. It's almost like, in a different way, preparing for a triple option team. You can try to simulate it, but you're never going to simulate it as well as they do it, because that's what they do every day, all day, every practice. So getting ready for that speed, and one of our challenges is we have not started out real well on defense in any of our games against the Power 5. We gave up the big play to Indiana, play 1, the opening drive to NC State, the opening drive to Duke. And this is a team that starts fast. So we have to be ready to go early, and we have not been so far. And, we were able to come from behind at Duke and Indiana and NC State. We weren't good enough to come from behind as deep as a hole as we were in. And we don't want to play from behind this game. I mean, it's, again, and they get into a rhythm and they get in a flow, and boy, they're tough. And even Notre Dame had fits with them. I mean, they scored 27 first half points. And Notre Dame, they've got some first-round draft picks on that defense. So it'll be a challenge.
Statistically, they lead the ACC in passing yardage. You guys are 11th in pass defense. The concern there, and also, how do you analyze and evaluate the problems you're having pass defense?
Well, I mean, part of it, Dan, is we've played with a lead in some games, and teams have become one-dimensional. I don't mind giving up however many yards we did to Duke if we can hold them to 37 yards rushing. Do you know what I'm saying? That, a lot of times passing yardage is a very misleading stat. In last week's case, it wasn't. I mean, they got after us pretty good. In the Indiana game and the Duke game, I think we did such a good job stopping the run that all they did was pass, and they were playing from behind. So that's always misleading. It's just like after you play an option team, you can pat yourself on the back how well you played pass defense, but if they're 2 for 3 for 12 yards throwing the ball, do you know what I'm saying? It's a little bit of the nature of what you're defending. So we've got to, now these guys are going to throw it, and they're committed to throwing it. But at the same time, you can't get so spread out with these guys that they can gut you with the run. I mean, against Notre Dame, I mean, they hit some seams, and their run game is such quick hitting, and you can get so spread out that, boy, they get that ball into the third level, and watch out. And the quarterback can run too. I mean, Notre Dame, they ran a nice little option play in the goal line, and he walked in the end zone untouched. So they have answers in their system. If you just say, hey, we're going to completely spread out and all we care about is defending the run, they know the offense well, and they have answers. So again, we don't want to give up 400 yards passing, but at the same time, I don't think you can completely empty the box and allow them to hit some runs, because they can be balanced when they need to be.
25 is a proven factor on one side. Teams seem to be really focused on 10 and 11 over here, Austin and Henderson.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Brad's, though, has given up as many as they have.
Okay.
It's like every game, it's one each.
Okay.
It really has. I mean, Indiana, they each gave up one. NC State, they each gave up one. So I really thought Amari Henderson played much, much better against NC State than he did Indiana. He really improved and broke up some good third down throws. He gave up the fade at the end. But he was on top of throws and played better. And again, he's never played before. He's a redshirt freshman, so it's an unforgiving position now. So it's baptism by fire, but after the Indiana game that he didn't play well, I thought he responded pretty well last week.
Well, how would you update the status of Kendall Hinton and Cade Carney?
I hope Cade is going to play. I don't think Kendall is. So it's not definite yet on either, but we're starting to, Cade, starting to get him reps, get him going in practice a little bit. Kendall was doing some things on the side. We'll see how he felt. Maybe he's available in emergency. But John will start the game at quarterback, and we may have Cade, we may not.
He looked good today, but you always have to wait for the next day, obviously, to see how he responds.
Yeah, you see how he feels? Oh, yeah, he looked good. Yeah. So, I mean, I think, we're going to be healthier this week than we have been since maybe the second or third week. I think we got guys coming back, and also I think guys, we didn't get, we came out of that last game, in pretty good shape.
Cade's healthy, ready to go full speed as he started.
Yeah, but again, if he's 70%, we got to see where he is.
But he will start to get ready.
Well, Dan, we haven't even talked about it because today was the first day, and you guys are going to be nailing me with that question with Kendall as soon as you see him out there. And until you know where they're at, certainly, Matt Colburn at 100%, you don't lose your job to injury if you're playing well. But, just because you're playing doesn't mean you're at full strength. So we have to evaluate that and see how he looks, how he looked today and tomorrow, and we probably won't tell you. You'll find out Saturday.
Go back to the game at State. I think it's 26-16. You've got the ball moving towards their red zone. You got a 4th and 3. The pass, was that the play that was designed to go that way, or did somebody make a bad read?
No, the play was supposed to go there. I mean, they were in man coverage, and we separated, and their corner made a heck of a play, and we've got to get a little bit more up the field. So, they had been pressuring us pretty good, and they were pressuring us there. We were in man coverage, and we tried to get rid of it quickly, and it's a play that you hope you can catch and fall forward and get the first down, and we came up a yard short.
So Tyler Bell late for a practice or miss a bus? Which one was it, Dave? Tyler Bell?
Neither.
He didn't play the first half the other day. He came on in the second.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Matt Colburn is playing well, and Rocky had a really good week in practice.
Okay, so
You got that position right now. It's great. You got to show up and compete and have a good week of practice. And so no, I mean, I don't want to say anybody's doing anything wrong. I think other guys are doing things right.
I love what you said last week about, and I'm going to do some on Ryan Anderson, so getting some material about him. You said players like football, love football, and live football. Where was he when he got here? Where is he now?
I think he always loved it, but I think he's a live it guy now. He's watches as much film as anybody in our program. He coaches the younger players. I mean, he's out there and he's working with Jake Benzinger and Nate Gillum, and he'll get after them. But it's very important to Ryan. It's really important. He works hard at it. He knows the game. He could play every position on our offensive line.
Okay.
He could play both tackles, both guards, and center. So he's a smart football player and comes from a football coaching family. You know, his dad, his grandfather, Dick Anderson, was a head coach at Rutgers and a long-time assistant at Penn State, and he's a heck of a football coach. So, you know, he has that FBI, that football intelligence.